Cannot appreciate it.
Call to order. So, members of council, thank you for being here tonight. And we acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Bequet, Prince Edward Island is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who've occupied this land for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. And at this moment, I would ask you all to rise and join me in a moment of silence to reflect upon and in memory of the 751 unmarked graves that were discovered on the grounds of Marieval Residential School in Saskatchewan on the Cowessess First Nation. Please stand. Thank you. And I hope we all take some time in the coming weeks to learn more about this history and for us to truly reflect on what we can do as individuals and as a group, a community, to help those affected heal and further the goals of reconciliation. Thank you. Councillor.
First, I'd like to ask all members of council to stand and rise as they pay tribute to Bill Mulligan, who was employed at the city of Charlottetown for a number of years, Parks and Recreation, arena supervisor. He provided great leadership skills and a great mentor to many of our youth, whether it be baseball, hockey. He was always there to help out, and did so in a very nonchalant, very subtle way. I know I had the honor and privilege to know Mr. Mulligan, and he was always very kind to me, and very, very sad to see his passing. I want to wish his wife, his lovely wife and family, my condolences. So I ask all members of council to stand.
Councillor Tweel,
Yeah.
just before we do that, does the Parks and Recreation Chair have anything to say? Did you want to?
I do, Your Worship, yeah.
Could he also just say some words before we do that?
Yeah, that's fine.
And then we'll do that moment of silence. Councillor Tweel, is that all right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, the city of Charlottetown lost a great ambassador last week. Right now, Billy Mulligan passed away Thursday evening in St. John. Billy was the manager of the old Charlottetown Forum. Billy was also a hockey player, coach, builder, volunteer, and for the last 2 decades was a supporter of the UPI Panther Booster Club. Billy was also a tremendous organizer and was always available to help any good cause. Your Worship, you can always find Billy at the rink, probably coaching or volunteering for tournaments or attending hockey meetings. Or you can find Billy at the golf course or the racetrack. He loved those 2 spots. If Billy was not at any of those locations, Your Worship, then he was discussing important matters at the coffee shop with his buddies. So, Your Worship, Billy loved the city, and he made no bones about it. So, Your Worship, our condolences to his family. Billy Mulligan will be missed. So,
Councillor Tweel, Councillor Bernard,
Yeah,
thank you. So can we stand?
yes.
Thank you. Wheel and Bernard, and declarations of conflict of interest, one from Deputy Mayor Cody on the issue of,
It's 4E, number 1, Angus Drive.
St. Peter's Road reconsideration. Any others? Okay, approval of the agenda. Mr. Kelly, do you have one item?
One change, your worship, under number 4C, sub III, engineering services, Eastern Gateway, phase 1 is removed and going back to committee, your worship,
Going back to Public Works or Finance?
to finance, your worship.
Okay.
And your worship, F, under Sims, was just to let council know about the public meeting's been booked for July 6th. It's not a presentation or anything.
It's just an update,
It was just to let everybody know, yeah.
information only, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, is that all right?
So we're not getting into a discussion here tonight on it.
No. Is
No,
that
It
right?
was just to let everybody know there's a public meeting being booked for July 6th.
I got the email.
Okay, so just, that's all it was. I want to make sure the law council knew, your worship. Okay?
Is that all right? Good. Excuse me.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Can we add something to the agenda?
Under new
All
business?
council approves?
Yes, under new business?
Yeah, it's just like an update on, what the city is doing for Canada Day, so maybe we could just add that at the, under new business or on the agenda, if all of other councilors agree, we could do that.
Any problem? Any issues?
No?
No?
Is the staff here to answer those questions?
Counselor,
I'm sorry, Councilor McCabe.
Counselor McCabe,
I'm
do we
sorry.
know if staff's here to answer
I
that?
don't think staff are here tonight, but I can
David, I
do
would.
my best to provide an update based on what I know
So-
through staff side.
Counselor Yankoff, did you hear that?
I did, thank you.
Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay, good. We all right with that?
Yeah.
Move to approve the agenda. Moved by Counselor Ramsey, second by Counselor Bernard. All in favor? Okay.
In favor.
Counselor Drawn, yea or nay?
In favor.
Mr. Kelly, where do we, it does say business arising from the closed session. Do I put it down
So we'll
by
just put it after the...
Simmons Sports Complex?
Yes, your worship, we
Okay.
already did that one, so we'll just put that one in
Okay,
place.
so we'll put that as H. Got it? Okay. So, we have Mr. Lanigan here. If there's any questions, correct, Mr. Lanigan? Protective and emergency services resolutions, vehicle purchase. Mr. Kelly, do you want to read it aloud?
Your worship, moved by Councillor Bard, second by Councillor Ramsey, that as per the option to purchase additional units in relation to the request for quotations on the 2020 police vehicle purchases, resolution dated September 14th, 2020, for the same price or less, that an additional mid-size sedan be purchased from Centennial Nissan of Charlottetown in the amount of $26,069.56 plus all applicable taxes and fees be accepted. The funding for this vehicle was provided through the Federal Guns and Gangs Initiative, Your Worship.
Question?
Question called.
Question? All those in favor, please raise your hands. Okay, Councillor McCabe, yay, no, sorry. Councillor Yanka, yay or nay?
In favor.
Councillor Drawn?
In favor.
Okay, 10-0. Next one, sir.
Your Worship, moved by Councillor Barrett, second by Councillor Ramsey, that the required licensing and training for the bundled magnet and gray shift software be purchased from Magnet Forensics at a total cost of $85,407.29. The funding for this purchase was provided through the Federal Guns and Gangs Initiative, Your Worship.
Easy one. Question?
Questions called.
Questions called. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Okay. Councillor Yankoff, yea or nay?
In favor.
Councillor Drawn?
In favor.
Thank you. Okay, sir.
Worship, move on to finance resolution. Moved by Deputy Mayor Cody, second by Councillor Rivard, that the City of Charlottetown accepts the proposal for Spry Point Services, Inc. for the implementation of the new municipal billing receivables and payment system, which includes Spry CIS, Spry Mobile, and payment kiosk for an implementation cost of $250,880 plus local taxes, Your Worship.
Okay. Thank you. Question?
Question called.
Question call. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Councillor Yankoff?
In favor.
Councillor Drawn?
Favor.
Great. Okay, sir.
Your worship, move into public works resolutions. Moved by Councilor McLeod, second by Councilor Duffy, that as per conditions of the tender, City of Charlottetown Public Works Building, the submission of Fitzgerald and Snow Limited in the amount of $5,686,000 plus all applicable taxes be accepted, and that the budget transfer of $151,180.54 from within the 2021-2022 Public Works capital budget in order to create a PO for the work be approved.
Question called.
Questions called. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Councillor Yankoff?
In favor.
Councillor Duran?
Favor.
0, sir.
Your worship, moved by Councilor McLeod, second by Councilor Duffy, that the submission of RK Associates in the amount of $47,550 plus all applicable taxes for the purchase of 3 8-phase traffic controllers be accepted.
Question called.
Questions called. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Councillor Yankoff?
In favor.
Councillor Duran?
Favor.
10-0. Tracy? 10-0. Carried.
Your worship, moved by Councilor McLeod, second by Councilor Duffy, that as per the conditions of the request for quotations on Pond Street reconstruction, the only submission of Island Coastal Services Limited in the amount of $1,696,840 plus all applicable taxes be accepted, and that an additional $696,840 plus all applicable taxes be allocated from the city's gas tax allocation to cover the additional costs for the reconstruction of Pond Street.
Questions?
Question called.
Questions called. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Councillor Yankoff?
In favor.
Councillor Duran?
Favor.
10-0 again. Okay. So Mark, thank you for coming in. Mr. Scott Evans, are you going to stay here? Are you staying here or you're done?
Oh, they're doing that next. Yeah.
How many were you allowed in there, Mr. Kelly? 3? What? If, Lisa, if one of your members want to sit up here, they can sit up here. Peter? You want to sit up here? Someone can sit in Alana's desk, or Councillor Yankoff, sorry. And then there's another spot over here too. Brad, if you want to sit up here or you want to stay down there, that's up to you.
Chair, gentlemen, if you like. Brett?
Seat right here.
Brett? Chair?
And whoever else is out there, Peter, they can come in and stand. Paul, if you want to come in too. Yeah. Lisa, could you please introduce the members with you? And you can take off your mask if you're. I know. Yeah, you're all right. Yeah.
And for those of you who don't recognize me with the gray hair,
You look great.
many of you remember me from my days with Federation of Municipalities. It's Lisa Doyle McBain. I'll let the dealers introduce themselves.
Peter, do you want to introduce?
Sure.
Okay.
My name's Peter McDonald. I am owner of the McDonald Automotive Group. We have Farrell Ford here in Charlottetown. We bought in 2006. And we have dealerships in Summerside and Montague.
I'm Brad Lennon. I'm here representing Reliable Motors in Charlottetown.
Tyler Kendall with Centennial Auto Group. We have Mazda in Charlottetown and Nissan here as well, and a couple dealers in Summerside.
Paul McKenna?
Paul McKenna, Capital Honda. Evening, guys, girls. Charlie Fitzpatrick, Kings County Chrysler, President of the Dealers Association.
Your Worship, Mayor Philip Brown, Deputy Mayor Jason Cody, City Councilors and City staff, thank you for the opportunity today to appear before you. The Prince Edward Island Automobile Dealers Association is the provincial association for franchised automobile dealerships that sell new and used vehicles and PEI, Class A licenses. We represent 22 active small and medium-sized businesses, all of the new vehicle dealerships on Prince Edward Island. It is our understanding that the city has been in negotiations for approximately 6 months with a third-party vendor offering to provide vehicle fleet management services. Having not been privy to those negotiations, we are not in a position to comment or provide an analysis on such a proposal. We would, however, like to make City Council aware of a few key points prefacing the proposal. The overall premise of the proposal is saving the city money by rotating vehicles more frequently than it does now, suggesting some cycling out of 1 to 2 years, some at 4 to 5 years, rather than what is currently happening with vehicles being held for 10+ years. Should the city choose to rotate its vehicles more frequently, cost savings would occur regardless of utilizing a third-party provider. Using newer vehicles would undoubtedly result in cost savings recognized in maintenance, repairs, fuel economy, and equity from selling and trading newer vehicles. The proposal advocates servicing of vehicles through a fleet management plan would be done via an online maintenance authorization tool that allows the user to create, manage, and invoice repair order requests for a fee similar to credit card transactions. So the city would be paying a fee to a USA-based fourth party through a USA, Ontario-based third party to have service work completed, rather than going directly to a Prince Edward Island dealership for service work. Dealerships provide quality service that is authorized by the respective brands and performed by highly trained employees. With original brand parts, as well as providing a warranty on work completed. We encourage you to do your due diligence in analyzing the numbers. Of the 22 new automobile dealerships in Prince Edward Island, 13 are located in the city of Charlottetown, and I encourage you to read through them. Dealerships are significant contributors to provincial and municipal property taxes. Collectively, the 13 Charlottetown dealerships are paying over $880,000 in 2021 property taxes. Our members employ close to 700 hardworking islanders from our cities, towns, and communities. 400 of these employees are employed by the Charlottetown dealerships. Employees who, along with their families, contribute to businesses in the city of Charlottetown. And many of these employees would also pay property taxes. Automobile dealerships represent one of the most valuable sources of sales tax revenues for all orders of government, generating hundreds of millions of dollars annually in taxes. The Prince Edward Island automotive industry contributed $967 million to Prince Edward Island's economy in 2019, representing 38.6% of the total retail trade of Prince Edward Island. Dealerships are active supporters of local organizations, charities, hospitals, sports, and cultural organizations. They support the community and give back. Dealerships directly and indirectly contribute to other businesses in the city of Charlottetown. It is our understanding that no other municipal government in Atlantic Canada has entered into a fleet management contract with the company that is negotiating with the city of Charlottetown. The city should not be the experiment for Atlantic Canada. The city should be leading the way in buying local, supporting important businesses that contribute substantially to the local economy, provide employment to residents, and invest in the community. So So the key points we'd like to leave you with: there's 700 hardworking Islanders employed by our dealerships, 400 in the Charlottetown dealerships. In 2019, the automotive industry contributed $967 million to PEI's economy. Our dealers are active supporters of local organizations, charities, hospitals, sports, cultural organizations. They support the community and they give back so much. 13 new automobile dealerships within the city of Charlottetown. And of those 13, we pay $880,000 in property taxes. We appeal to the mayor and the councilors of the city of Charlottetown for your consideration of continuing to buy, lease, and service vehicles locally and directly through Prince Edward Island Automobile Dealers Association dealer members. Thank you. And I have many of our dealers here today. If you have questions, go right ahead.
It's the time to ask.
The dealers will speak up.
Lisa, thank you very much. And Peter and the rest of you, Brad, Paul, and others. If there are any questions, this is the time to ask. If you want any clarification.
I will. From my recollection from the presentation, and I assume it stems, Lisa, from the fear that we're not going to buy vehicles in Charlottetown.
Buy and service.
So we were led to believe that they would be on bought service here. Scott, you may want to answer that.
That is my recollection as well. It is.
What's that?
That's my recollection as well, as all vehicles are, all vehicles flow through the local dealerships, and all warranty work and service work goes to the local dealer as well. That was my understanding of the.
So is that in the contract? Will that be in the contract?
As far as I know, I believe so, yes.
So what if they can't source those vehicles from a local, and they have the opportunity to go elsewhere? Because I guess my experience with national leasing companies is that we do get that first phone call, and that's all we get. And then we don't hear from them again. And next thing you know, a vehicle shows up and it's being a national leasing company vehicle that has come from somewhere else. So the vehicles don't normally get sourced through us from a national vehicle perspective. And I just want to make one other point is that we do appreciate it when we have that opportunity to tender amongst the other dealerships in town or across the island. And but I think it was a little. I guess I was a little mystified today when I saw a tender go out for 13 vehicles for the city of Charlottetown. We haven't seen a tender for 13 vehicles that I can remember, but I've only been here since 2006.
That's 15 years.
That's 15 years, and I've also been a dealer on PEI since 1985. So I'm not saying that there hasn't been, but very rarely that you would see that. Now, it's also, this tender closes, I believe, the day after the vote comes to council to approve the fleet management from Enterprise, if I'm not mistaken, or very close to it. So they could haul this tender for 13 vehicles at any time. So we could do the work and try to tender these vehicles. But that could be hauled if then it goes around and it's voted on that you're going to accept Enterprise Fleet Management. Am I correct on that?
I'd have to look at it. So I was just aware that it was posted today. So knowing the dates and all that is something we can definitely look at tomorrow.
So a little unusual to see the 13 vehicles, but thank you. We do appreciate that opportunity. But a little mystified at the timing of it. And also, if that tender, if you decide to go with the Enterprise Fleet Management, then do they take over that tendering process, or does that just get pulled? It just seems weird that you're about to vote for a fleet management company to come in and run your vehicles, and you put a tender out 2 weeks before for 13 vehicles. You got me.
Do you have an answer for that to Mr. Adams?
I don't at the moment, no. Like I say, I looked at it late this afternoon that it was posted. So we will follow up.
So who's heading up the tender process, Mr. Kelly? Is it Mr. Wedlock or is it?
be finance worship?
So we should have kept Mark here. Okay. Councillor Duffy?
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Lisa, for your presentation. communications is a wonderful thing. It's wonderful when it works. It's not so wonderful when it's not present to work. I have here in front of me what they had in mind for the city of Charlottetown. And there's always two parties. There's one party on one side of the issue and one party on the other side of the issue. But we always have to make sure that both parties know what, and I thank you for your presentation today. I just want to go through and answer some of the questions that have been brought here tonight. The documentation we were given from Enterprise, and there's 6 points that I'll just touch on. And the Enterprise Fleet Management works with local dealerships to order and deliver vehicles. Vehicles will be ordered through the local dealerships, whether through dealer inventory stock or factory orders. Payment for vehicles will be processed directly with local dealerships where vehicles orders are placed. This proposal applies to non-emergency response, light medium duty fleet only. Emergency response, heavy duty, and specialized vehicles will not be procured through Enterprise Fleet Management platform. The 4th point was vehicle warranty work will continue to be serviced through local dealerships. The 5th point is that outsourced vehicle maintenance repairs on the EFM maintenance program is done at local dealership shops within tax base, which would be in the Charlottetown area. So my question, after hearing your presentation, Lisa, and this presentation was provided to by Enterprise, I was almost going to say Enterprise PEI, but that's the provincial government. I'm at a loss to what is missing between yours and, what are you people not going to be liable to receive that Enterprise has let us down or misled us?
So that's why I've encouraged you to do your due diligence, because I spoke with the individual who presented to City Council.
From Enterprise.
Right.
Yeah.
And my concern, of course, was the purchasing of vehicles, and he proceeded to educate me on the automotive industry, the markup of vehicles. And then I was very concerned about the servicing of vehicles. And that is when he explained to me, which I don't believe is in your presentation or was shared with you, that it would be done through an online maintenance authorization tool. And that you have to belong to this company. You don't pay a membership, it's free, but the dealerships can belong to this organization. But so can any kind of service company, okay? So the big box, I'm not gonna name any, but big box garages, small garages, and so on and so forth. Not just dealerships, but you have to belong in order to be on this list that the city could then, or the fleet management company, decide where the service is going to be. And you pay a premium fee for that. You pay a fee that's like a credit card transaction. So, our question is, why would you do that?
But he didn't tell us, I'm sorry. He didn't tell us that. That therein lies back to the communication. My colleagues here on council, we've been communicated one large piece of information. We received yours tonight. There appears to be gaps in somewhere, so that leaves us in kind of an unfair here that we haven't been told the whole story, or maybe we have. I don't know. So.
And one of the dealers, I think, can speak about.
Peter, just before you do that, just on that information, Scott, I was with the understanding that the $186,000 saving was over the 10 years. Is it over each year, or is it over 10 years?
So combined over 10 years is 1.8 to 1.9 million.
In savings.
Which is 180-some thousand per year, that's correct.
Sorry, Peter, go ahead.
So we haven't heard from Enterprise Fleet Management, so they haven't come to the dealers trying to make a deal with us or to sign us up to provide vehicles or to come to us. But having said that, I also just question, if they do come to us and get a price on a vehicle and they decide to go with our vehicle, then what happens to that price when they go to you? What are they using? How do you know what your price is? How do you know from our price to then their price, their markup? Are they leasing it? What are your rates? Do you know what your rates are before you're going into this contract? Are you so much over prime on a vehicle lease? Do you know that going in for 10 years? That it's going to be 2% over prime or below prime? Do you know what your finance rate is? To me, it's like you're signing this over for 10 years. It's like the Fox is going to be in charge of the hen house here. Like they're going to be controlling everything for you, and no tendering basically. So they can come out and make a deal with me all they want, but then that's their deal, that's not your deal. They can mark that up, they can do what they want with it. And how do you do your due diligence at that point in time? With the system that you have now, you put a tender out, you have Brett's company, you have Tyler's, 13 other groups that are probably out there tendering on that process, depending on the vehicle.
Thank you, Peter.
Go ahead,
Worship,
sir.
through your worship, could I ask Scott Adams?
That's why we're all here.
Scott, do we have an escape clause that, if we sign into this thing, find it's a horror show, one way or the other, what are the stipulations on how soon we can get out and how much injury?
There's no penalty to escape, and I believe we can escape at any time.
So that kind of leaves, that's all I have to say, Your Worship.
no.
That leaves us in a bit of a spot.
Yeah.
We have Lisa's and the dealership presentation, we have this presentation here, and they don't seem to work together or come together in any, they seem to be out of sync a bit.
But
It's
I
too
don't
bad we
think,
didn't have an individual like we do with our medical plan and that sort of thing. We have kind of a person on the street, so to speak, that does this for a living, that kind of like an agent that knows about these things. I don't think anyone in this room, other than the automobile people, that know all the ins and outs and ups and downs of the situation. Anyway, thank you, Your Worship.
so the tendering process, to my point, was never confusing until we just got this proposal from Enterprise, so I don't know if it's going to clear up anything for council. Councilor Ramsey?
Yes, thank you. I just have a comment. Since we go to RFPs for our vehicles and everything, and we all want to support as much as we can the city of Charlottetown dealerships. But if all of a sudden, and we all heard the stories too, that if all of a sudden Summerside gets one or two or three, why are you not supporting local? So, but at the bottom line is, it's the taxpayers' dollars that we're looking after here. But it's still staying on the island, but it isn't staying in Charlottetown, you know what I'm saying? Or what I'm trying to say? But they have every right, Summerside or Tignish or Silverby, to bid in these bids. But then we get heat on our emails and all that. Why are you not supporting Charlotte? Well, the lower price come in, but it's still a PEI. So that's my comment on that. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Any responses?
Well, from my perspective, I would say that, we're here representing all of our dealers, all 22 dealerships right across the island. And when we say buy local, but, we had to also present the facts to you from 13 dealerships within the city of Charlottetown.
Mr. McDonald,
Yeah.
No, just a comment that, and I know that Enterprise Fleet Management is relatively new to Canada. How many other fleet management groups have you gone out to tender on this process?
Mr. Adams?
I'm not aware, I'm not sure of that, because this all spearheaded.
Or they approach us?
Yeah.
They approached us.
Spearheaded through the finance department, so I'm not
Online
sure.
shop.
But you'd never just take one proposal, would you, on something that's this valuable?
Good point.
And I think you really need to look at the numbers, and you need to try to decipher how are you going to save that much money. You're buying newer vehicles. They're suggesting that you're going to be buying vehicles every 1 or 2 years or every 4 or 5 years. I really think you need to look at the numbers. You can't, how do you save that much money when you're buying new vehicles all the time? So.
Well,
No, Councilor Twill first. Councilor Twill?
Thank you for your presentation. I want to thank the representatives from different car companies for being here today. It's a good job you're here because we learned some very valuable information in a short period of time. So if all the information wasn't accurate from this national company or international company, then I think maybe we should put the brakes on everything. Just put the brakes on everything. And what we need to do is, I would say, strike an ad hoc committee with representatives from our local dealerships. I think we should be meeting with senior management here in City Hall to make sure all of the information is duly noted. We do our due diligence, and that council can truly make an informed decision. Because right now, council cannot make an informed decision based on the discrepancies, based on the disparities, and based on the misinformation. And Now, like I said, Lisa, it's a good job your organization is here, otherwise we wouldn't know the difference. So I think, Mr. Mayor, everything has to be put on hold. Everything has to be put on hold. Ad hoc committee is struck with Lisa and representatives from our associations here across Prince Edward Island, and work with senior management, and to make sure that we have all the information. Because we owe our dealerships, our salespeople, people that they employ, and everything that they do for this city and for this province. So that's how I feel. I want to put everything on hold.
Thank you, Councilor Twill. Councilor Bernard?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Bruce, the information that Peter was talking about, and the facts and the figures, these are all given through our fleet manager. Our fleet manager has been working with this enterprise company. Figures and everything that was shown to us was based on the vehicles that were purchased or leased last number of years. I believe it was the last 10 years. So through that, it was worked out that it would save the city $180-some thousand a year over 10 years, the 1.8 million. So that presentation was probably a month ago. That's where all the figures came from, all our purchases and leases that we've had in the last 10 years. Now, we haven't had, I don't know what committee dealt with it. Is Finance Committee dealing with
Public
this?
Works and Finance.
Okay.
And then Council. It's coming to Council.
And there's been no more information come back to us. I would suggest that probably we have Enterprise PEI, or Enterprise, this National Enterprise Company, Enterprise Leasing, I think it's called.
Enterprise Leasing.
I do know in the conversation we had with them, that it was stressed that we wanted all the vehicles bought in PEI, serviced on PEI. That's supposed to be part of the contract. Now, before we would vote on it, council would obviously be doing due diligence. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to have you guys look over the contract for us and see anything that's not right. But from what was presented to us, from our past and moving forward, which was savings there for the taxpayer, certainly looked at. Were we still going to buy the vehicles on Prince Edward Island? Yes, we were. Were they going to be serviced on Prince Edward Island? Yes, they were. If there's something that we don't know, because you guys are the experts, you guys deal with these companies all the time. So I would look at the contract when it comes through and have you guys look at it and see if there's any pitfalls that we're not seeing. But certainly when it was presented to me, it certainly looked good for the city of Charlotte. And still we're purchasing vehicles on the island for our local dealers and servicing.
Yeah. Councilor Bernard, I think Lisa made it very clear at the beginning that they don't want to get into a battle with Enterprise Leasing, correct?
I'm not suggesting...
No. All they're doing is just presenting what the dealers are doing, not only for Charlottetown, the 13 dealers in Charlottetown, but the 22 from East Point to West Point, North Shore to South Shore, and the economic effect on the island economy. That's right? I don't know if we want to put one against the other. And Lisa, are you comfortable in doing that?
Doing an analysis?
And coming...
Well, we don't have the expertise. The city of Charlottetown, I would think, would have the expertise to analyze the numbers and analyze the proposal. But we came today to share the information with you. We think that it's critical for the city of Charlottetown to be a leader in supporting local businesses. These are 13 businesses in the city that employ 400 people, 22 that employ 700, and all the ramifications from that. And I think that we've been exceptional business people and exceptionally good to the city of Charlottetown. So we're really questioning, what is happening.
And I don't disagree with any of that. And I think that's why it was important for us that we made sure the vehicles would continue to be bought locally. They would continue to be serviced locally. And I guess what I'm suggesting is something that we're missing, then certainly we need to take a second look.
Well, you're going to be paying a number of fees to various companies, to the third party, to the fourth party. You're paying a ton of fees to this company. This company isn't doing it out of the goodness of their heart. So you've got to spend an awful lot of money to save that money.
But if you're saving $186,000 a year, you got to get the savings from somewhere.
That's based on the number of cars or vehicles you're buying too. Okay, Councilor McLeod.
Thank you very much.
And guys, could I just ask, you have to speak louder. I believe that the two councillors that are online cannot hear us that well. So You have to speak up loud.
If you don't mind, I'll speak up.
Yeah, you can stand up, so that's it.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Thank you very much, folks, for your presentation. One of the things that we were led to believe, and we might be way off, but our finance committee there, they looked at this serious, and it hasn't been done on a whim. There's been a lot of time and effort put into it. And one of the things that kind of come up to play is that you might not always win the bid, but you're going to get service. If the car has been, because your pencil isn't quite as sharp, but if we kind of have to say that, okay, we've got 20 cars this year, 25 cars, each dealership's going to get 4 or 5. Well, there's more money in the service, in the maintenance side of it is than there would be in sales. Right? There's not, there's, like, we're led to believe that sales isn't where the money is, it's in the maintenance side of things. So if you're guaranteed maintenance, why would you not think that's a good thing? Just a question that's been brought to us.
Do you want to answer that, Peter, or any one of you?
Any one of us could probably say that's not true. Or otherwise, we wouldn't be able to pay our sales staff, and we're not going to pay them from our profits out of the service department. So we have fleet manager. I have a fleet manager, and I have a fleet salesperson that spends a lot of time on fleet, and he gets paid to do that. And so we do, yes, we make money. Do you think they're not going to make money from you guys on that fleet sale when they get their price from us and then they mark it? You think they're not going to mark that up? They'll mark it up more than what they're paying me, I guarantee you that. And they will make, and we don't even know what your conditions are if you're going to be doing a leasing from them. If it's an open end lease, which is all the responsibility then is on the city, I can guarantee you they won't be doing closed-end leasing with you, where they're responsible. It'll be the city's responsibility for that open-end leasing, which they may be calling a finance lease, but in truth, it's called an open-end lease. All the responsibility is on the city, and that's fine because you know what it is up front, and you know what probably the cost will be up front. But if you sign this with Enterprise Fleet Management, most of the profits will be leaving out. That's all I can tell you, through fees and through their markup on that purchase of that vehicle.
Councilor Twill, this is your second time.
I just want to
follow up that.
Open end lease, or what was the other?
Closed-end lease. So there's usually just 2 leases. Some may call them different things, but there's 2. Open-end, closed-end.
Like open meeting, closed meeting. Okay. Councilor Twill.
Yeah.
Speak loud. Speak loud.
Last time I spoke loud.
It changes. Tonight it's a hot night.
I'm going to reiterate one more time.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's put the brakes on what's taking place. Put the brakes on everything. Instead of being reactive, as we are here tonight, thankfully the industry's here. Let's be proactive. Let's strike an ad hoc committee. Have our CAO instruct the manager of finance to reach out to Lisa and some of the representatives. Start having meetings here at City Hall. Make sure that all of the information is forthcoming, all of the questions are being asked, all the data is being provided, so that when eventually it does come to City Council, we can make an informed decision. Right now, if there was a resolution brought forward tonight, we can't honestly say we're going to make an informed decision. It's just simply not possible. And we're nowhere as close to doing our due diligence. Now, we're not even in the ballpark. So that's not a criticism, that's just reality. We owe it to our industry that are here, we're at the ball fields, we're in the rinks, we're at the schools, always there, the churches, always there, helping, the first ones to help out. We owe them that much.
Thank you, Councilor Twill. Councilor Rivera, Ward 7.
Best word in Charlottetown.
Is it?
Right,
Well, I don't know about that.
Anyways, I'm a little confused
Yes?
as to how we can save that kind of money now. Maybe I missed something during the presentation, but when I hear talking about the additional fees that are added, kind of hidden fees, if you will, the markup on vehicles, I can't understand for the life of me where we would make up $186,000 if we did our job within the city on fleet management with the help of the association. By the sounds of it, we can achieve a better goal than what this company is providing. Because if there's hidden costs and there's markup, what am I missing?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
That's it.
devil's in the details.
It's as simple as that. I
Yeah.
just don't want to miss it.
Okay. Is that it?
One more, Your Worship. Scott, is there a time, I sit on finance too, so, and I can't remember, is there a time frame that Enterprise is looking to close this deal? So we can,
Not that I'm aware of.
so we can gather more information, more discussions with everybody around the table.
Correct.
And see if it's better for the taxpayers of the city and the businesses of the city.
Yeah.
Correct.
So this thing doesn't have to look at by next week, for
No,
example.
not that I'm aware of.
No,
That's very well.
no, we're not going to fast track it. Charlie?
Yeah, I'm a bit confused, but, so if I came to the council and committee or whatever with the presentation and said, little dealer in Montague, I'll provide you with all the cars you want, and I'll save you $186,000 a year, would you guys go, okay, great idea, like without getting a, or we just put them out for tender like you did, like you're just taking one company's word saying, we'll save you some money, but you don't know what else is out there.
Yeah.
Maybe you could lease from the local. Do you lease from the local companies? That's another option to compare what the lease is. So it just seems odd why there's no comparison. Like you'll put tenders out for vehicles. And why do you put tenders out? You didn't put tenders out for this process of getting a fleet management. There's all kinds of fleet management companies out there.
That's true.
But because they came to you guys and made a presentation, are you saying if I came and made a presentation that I get 100 vehicles? I don't think so, right?
But we accomplished that in the tendering process.
What's that?
I said, we accomplished that simply through the tendering process. We put a tendering process out there.
Yeah, we already have it in place.
They all bid. We get the best possible price for the vehicle that we need, period. Without no additional fees, no costs, no markup, it's transparent, it seems simple, but maybe I'm.
So, Mr. Kelly, who is our fleet manager for the city? Is it Scott?
Stephen Fed.
Stephen Fed? Yeah. Okay. Anything else, guys?
So we will.
Just want to sum up?
I
Sure,
just-
go right ahead, you're chair
I-
of Public Works.
I agree with Councilor Creel, except the only thing, I don't think we need another committee, another meeting. I think finance has the technology and capabilities to take the questions that was raised here this evening, there's some very good ones, I may say, and that, go back to the drawing board and get these questions answered and move forward from there.
I think it was a recommendation from Public Works.
Consultation with you folks as well, I mean, we're hooked up on, we can then ask questions. It's great to have this relationship. So thank you very much for coming in, and it has opened our eyes for sure.
And your
I think
committee,
finance can
your
back.
committee will be involved too.
And my
because-
committee and Public Works, of course.
Which is the Standing Committee for Public Works and Beautification.
Thank you very much.
You, Mr. McDonald, you
Just getting close.
You live in Charlottetown, right?
I do. I
I know you're from Summerside.
do. I'm in,
The other capital.
I'm in,
Ward
Mr.
seven.
Steele's,
Oh, you're me?
I'm in his ward right now.
Ward 4.
Ward 4. So
Yes.
We just.
Well, we won't hold that against you.
Okay, thank you. It wasn't Councillor Duffy's and we sold our
We
house.
won't hold that against him either.
Okay.
But anyways, on behalf of the dealers, I just want to say a thank you for allowing us to be here to do this presentation. And for myself, just what an honor it is to be in these chambers. It's beautiful. It's the first time I had this privilege. And so I just want to say thank you for that and just thank you for your service.
Chamber was opened in 1888.
Isn't that something?
That's right.
Yeah, so
Almost 131 years old.
Took me 65 years.
131 years old.
Mike, the history lesson starts.
Thank you.
And just on a personal note, given my history with the Federation of Municipalities for many years.
Yes.
I know what you folks sacrifice, and what you give, and how much time you give, and how much negativity you receive. And so personally, I would like to say thank you so much for everything you do for our beautiful city.
Thank you.
And I'm not trying to.
You're not trying to get us.
I'm back anytime. Back anytime. Thank you very much. It is Ward 4.
We should have our.
Okay. So we go to the next planning report and resolutions. Councillor Deputy Mayor, you're in conflict, so you have to leave. Thank you, Chief Engineer. So we are waiting for, is Laura Palmer Thompson here? I think she is.
Yes.
And our lawyer?
Mr. Hogan.
Okay, so Laura Palmer's here.
Oh my gosh, the air conditioning.
Yeah.
So, David, do you want to take a new seat?
I'm gonna try to
You want to take that seat, or you want to take this seat? We could be sued. So, to introduce this, Angus Drive and St. Peter's reconsideration, Mr. Kelly, I believe Laurel Palmer Thompson is here to give the presentation, correct?
Well, I wasn't told I was presenting. I was told that it was a council meeting and that you were going to make a decision on it, but I can present because I am familiar with it. Had a bit of experience with it. But basically where we're at is we're in the reconsideration process, and the application is to amend Appendix G, the zoning map of the zoning and development bylaw for Lot 40 Angus Drive, and PID number 419143 from single detached residential zone to mixed use corridor zone. There's also a request to amend 413 St. Peters Road, PID number 419135 from low density residential R2 zone to mixed use corridor zone, and to amend the Appendix A future land use map of the official plan map for Lot 40 Angus Drive and 413 St. Peters Road from mature neighborhood to village center commercial. And then further, if the rezonings approve, it would be to consolidate Lot 40 Angus Drive, PID number 419143, and 413 St. Peters Road, PID number 419135, and 415 St. Peters Road, PID number 192187 being Mel's Convenience Store, into one parcel. So, pursuant to section 3.153 of the zoning and development bylaw, Mel's Convenience Store requested a reconsideration, and section 3.15 of the bylaw states that council may review, rescind, change, or vary any order or decision made by the development officer or council, provided that new material facts or evidence not available at the time of the initial order or decision have come to light, a material change of circumstances has occurred since the initial order or decision, or there is clear doubt as to the correctness of the order or decision in the first instance. So following the April 26th decision of council to reject the rezoning request, the applicant and the province have provided material facts and evidence that was not available to council at the time of their decision. So council decided to hear the reconsideration request. And the applicant and the province has also provided information related to safety that was not available to council at the time of the decision. So that was, you basically decided to reconsider based on the fact that that information wasn't available at that time. So on May 31st, as you're aware, you passed a resolution to reconsider the applicant's request, and we moved forward to a public meeting last week, and basically to hear the applicant's request and the information that they felt was coming forward, and also to hear the public's comments. So Stephen Yo was there to present on behalf of the province, and Dan McIsaac was there to present as the applicant, and then the residents did have their opportunity to speak. So I wrote a report following the public meeting, and the report is in the package. We received a number of letters following the public meeting and leading up to it. We did receive a lot of support for the rezoning. I believe there was something like 27 letters received in support and something like 7 letters received in opposition. They were all included in the package. Staff reviewed the information from the public and the recommendations for and in opposition, and we looked at the information that was provided by the province, and the overall recommendation for the application was to approve the rezoning request based on the request from the applicant, that they would rezone the property to parking as opposed to mixed-use corridor. So staff's recommendation is to proceed with the rezoning based on amending the application from mixed-use corridor to parking zone.
So, Mr. Kelly, do you have a resolution? Is the resolution part of,
Depends where council
on
wants to
page
do-
one?
Depends what council wants to do, Bishop. If council wishes to rescind, there is one motion there first. After that is gone, then there's options of 3 as was described, either for the MUC, either for the parking lot, or to be rejected. And so there's 3 different motions that will come out of that discussion. But if you wish to test the will of council, Bishop, we can put the motion to rescind on the floor, and then we can get into whatever direction council wants to go, or whatever other direction you may take.
So that's, just 1 second, so that's to rescind the vote of 8-1?
That's right, George.
Okay, which was on what date? March? No, we didn't rescind that vote.
That was a vote reconsideration.
April 26th, Your Worship.
Yeah, no, but we had to, remember, we voted 8-1 to reject it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we have to rescind that first, correct, Councillor Duffy? And then we start over again. I know.
Just a point of order.
I know. Is that correct?
Correct. Point of order.
Go ahead.
Point of order.
What's your point of order?
My point of order is, Your Worship, at the public meeting, I asked a question.
What's the point of order?
What's the point of order? Give us the
My
point.
point of order is regarding the validity and the legalities of the public meeting, which was held last week at the Charlottetown Hotel. Okay. The applicant that required or made the request for the reconsideration was Mr. Dan McIsaac. Okay. The issue was, and still is on zoning on Angus Drive, St. Peter's Road. It had nothing to do with the roundabout. So I guess what really mystified me and other members of the community, particularly on the west side of St. Peter's Road, is why was the problems there making a presentation on the roundabout?
Wait, but that's not the point of order.
No, it is a point of order. That's why
I'm trying to figure it out.
Our solicitors.
Point of order is on the discussion we're having.
No, I understand that, but this is all related to the topic at hand and what we're going to be
To
doing.
your point of order.
So my question is, the question I have, as I question the legalities, the validity, and the credibility of holding that public meeting when the province was present there making the virtues and illustrating the points of the roundabout when it had nothing to do with the roundabout. It had everything to do with the zoning. So the residents were confused.
Okay.
They're confused. So my question is, why was the province there? I asked the question, I know, Your Worship, and I asked you the question.
Yeah, I forwarded it.
I understand that, but still, I didn't get the answer. So I'm basically stating that public meeting that took place at the Charlottetown Hotel, Victoria Room, right, is invalid. It was illegal because the province was there. They had no right to be there.
Okay.
If they want to hold a public meeting, it's within their right from a jurisdictional perspective to hold their public meeting at another time. It had nothing to do with the topic and the issues that Dan McIsaac had requested. I have no idea who invited the province there, why they were there, and why they were participating. So I have a legal question. I want that legal question answered.
Just before we go to the legal question. If you go to your minutes from May 25th, okay, May 25th, when the Planning and Heritage Board minutes, Mr. Chair, or former Chair, Councillor Duffy, item 6, reconsideration request for Angus Drive, Lot 40 and 415 St. Peter's Road. The department, correct, Laurel, presented the 3 thresholds, right, for the reconsideration. That's why we had we voted on the reconsideration. Just let me finish, Mr. Kelly, right? And one of them was based on the safety of the situation, which you did not address at the public meeting on March 23rd?
Me?
Yes, because you're noted in the minutes.
Yes, well, the province didn't address the safety issue. So in previous discussions that we had with them, it was staff's understanding that they would move ahead with the roundabout. But there was information that came forward that there were safety concerns, as Steve Yo discussed it the other night, with lane changes. It wouldn't allow enough time for someone coming out of Mel's to make a lane change if they're traveling east. So the reason why the rezoning and why the province was involved with that meeting is because the applicant and the province are basically requesting the rezoning. Basically, they're mainly the applicant, because in order to put that access over those lots, because it's a commercial access, those 2 lots would have to be rezoned. The province needs that access to allow people to access from Mel's to the roundabout safely, because as they explained at the public meeting, and I'm not a traffic engineer, I don't work for the province, but as they explained, that roundabout, if it were put in there without that access, it wouldn't allow people an adequate time to make lane changes if they were traveling east.
Yeah. So, just to conclude, Laura Palmer Thompson is not an engineer, she's a planner. So when we need engineering, we rely on engineers. When we need architects on architectural issues, we rely on architects. In this situation, we now rely on our legal counsel. Can you bring us up to just... No, I'm asking, you asked for legal counsel, we're going with legal counsel. No.
On the point of order, Your Worship, he just wants to clarify the
we want to clarify your point of order. Go ahead.
If I understand the question, or point of order correctly, it has to do with the legality.
Sorry, you have to get closer to it.
Closer to the sorry. Yeah. As I understand Councillor Tweel's concern, it has to do with the legality, I'll use that word broadly, of the public meeting that was held to get input from the public on the proposed reconsideration. And you're saying that, enough. I think that you're questioning the legality of it. Based on my view of it, it was a perfectly legal meeting with appropriate notices given in accordance with section 3.15 of the bylaw, which has to do with reconsideration. I'll harken you back to this, Councillor Tweel. If you read the full text of the resolution, you'll see that it ends off with, in order to facilitate, right, a roundabout, I may not use the words roundabout, but in order to facilitate the interconnection, right? That's been a front and center from the beginning. So the purpose of as Laura pointed out, you can't, you're changing the use. These 2 properties that are being, rezoning is being requested for, you're changing the use from residential use to something else, be it MUC, be it parking. Those are the 2 choices you have before you. Right. So because you're making that change of use, the zoning bylaw is engaged, right? You can't change the use of those 2 properties without changing the zoning. So that's what this whole process that you're dealing with here is been about.
No, just one second, is any more to add to that, David?
No, I mean, I believe the meeting was duly...
But the resolution is what you just said there. It says, in order to facilitate road upgrades by the province of St. Peter's Road and construct a second means of access for the convenience store to and from Angel. No, now I'm going to go, hold on. No, just one second. Councillor Bernard, you let others speak here. Councillor Bernard.
Thank you, Richard. You know what? Too bad we can't get through something dealing with the facts instead of playing these games. And everybody knows that the zoning is required to be around. But you know what? Regardless, the zoning that they were concerned about was MEC, which would allow for commercial entities to be built. Now they've agreed to go to parking. Correct. I think everybody agrees that zoning to parking is the way to go. So whether, the whole idea of the province coming, when they met with us, and they talked about the importance of if the roundabout was to go, they need that, and they explained why, and that was new information. And that's why council voted to go to reconsideration. We wanted all the public to hear that. So at the end of the day, the facts are here, and to pull all these stunts and try and say it's an illegal meeting and this can't happen, let's just deal with the facts. That's right. And your worship, while I'm standing, at that meeting, my integrity and other councils was brought into question on a letter that I always give when rezonings are happening within my ward. Not as well to people within 100 meters. I prefer that everyone in the community gets to know about it, not just a few. So can we hear the results from the lawyer on that?
So we did, let me just Excuse me, sir. We had a council of 10 here. Can we listen to others? Councilor Bernard?
Yes?
He did get a legal opinion. David, can you provide a legal opinion on both Councilors Duffy and Bernard?
Thank you.
Is that all right, sir?
Yes, thank you.
So, we were asked last week to provide a legal opinion on concerns that have been expressed, I gather, as to the letter that Councillor Bernard had distributed and to certain remarks that Councillor Duffy had made in connection with the application and whether or not there might be a reasonable apprehension of bias, conflict of interest. Based on having read the letter, having spoken with Councillor Duffy about the remarks that were in question, in our opinion, these two individuals are not disqualified from participating in this process. They do not demonstrate that, and this is the acid test, Councillor Tweel and other councillors. The acid test is councillors need to maintain an open mind until you get to the final decision, which presumably will come here tonight. You have to be open to persuasion. You're entitled to your opinion, and you're entitled to express your opinion publicly, okay? You're also required to not prejudge the case, and I did not see any evidence of prejudgment in the letter. I did not see any evidence of prejudgment in Councillor Duffy's remarks. They're still, presumably as we sit here even now, they may still be open to persuasion, to a different point of view. They come in here this evening. This matter's been before council since last April quite a number of times, so no doubt they have some thoughts that they bring to the meeting tonight, and that's your job. But in a long story short, in our opinion, there's no reason why they're not in conflict, and it's not a reasonable apprehension of bias. There may be an apprehension, but it doesn't meet the legal test or legal standard for an apprehension of bias from what I understand of the facts.
Councillor,
Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor Rivard, do you want to yield to Councillor Tweel, or do you want to speak?
No, I want to speak after the resolution is read, that's all. We haven't got a resolution yet.
You want another clarification? Okay, stand up. What do you need, sir?
So the question is, Mr. Solicitor, you talked about the, it says here, in order to facilitate road upgrades by the province, St. Peter's Road, construct a second means of access for the convenience store to and from Angus Drive be rejected. You know what? Nowhere in this resolution does it talk about a roundabout. It talks upgrades. Upgrades can mean many different things. The point I was trying to make, Mr. Hooley, is that the province did not petition the city of Charlottetown for reconsideration. The request came from businessman Mr. Dan McKaysey. The province did not make the request, did not file any application, did not talk to the planning department that we would like the city of Charlottetown to reconsider. They made it quite clear the week before that if this doesn't go, we're pulling the roundabout, and the roundabout's not going to become a reality. I'm not sure what the motivation was behind that, but they did not make the request. The only individual to make the request for the reconsideration was Mr. McKaysey. The province of Prince Edward Island did not make the request. That's why I'm calling into question the credibility, the legality, and the legitimacy of the public meeting that was held over in the Victoria Room at the Charlottetown Hotel. And I think it's a reasonable question. I've thought about it for the last 3 or 4 days. Is that to say that when anyone makes a reconsideration, that other parties can join with them and take up the bulk of the time at the council meeting and confuse the issue? Councillor Bernard, no games here. I don't play games. I try to deal with the facts as the facts are. And I can tell you that the residents on the west side of St. Peter's Road are extremely concerned. They don't know why this is taking place. As they see it, and they'll tell you it themselves. They said it at the meeting. 2 separate issues. We're dealing with zoning. We're not dealing with a roundabout on St. Peter's Road, whether it's 5
The resolution deals.
Hold on. Point of order. Listen to his point of order. Sit down. Point of order. What's your point of order?
Point of order is that the resolution does deal with zoning.
It does?
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what is going on, but the resolution deals with zoning.
Okay, David, can you answer again? I think you're going to have to repeat your answer.
In a nutshell, the way I look at it, Councillor Tweel, is simple. The applicant for the 2 rezonings and the lot consolidation and so on official plan changes, was Mel's convenience store, Danny Scott. He was the applicant, right?
Right.
And he's the person who, when he didn't get the decision he wanted, sought a reconsideration. So we had an application, we now had a request for reconsideration. That's what the city has processed in accordance with its bylaws. The province is an interested bystander, obviously. That's obvious from the resolution. They have an interest in this. They happen to own that section of road and be responsible for that section of road. And there's a lot of traffic on it, and they wanted to, so they are interested bystanders. They weren't the applicant for the rezonings. They weren't the party that asked for the reconsideration. Mr. McIsaac was, as is his right to do. So I guess, again, I don't see any problem with the legality of the process the council's engaged in here this evening.
Test the will of council.
What's that?
We should test the will of council.
Yeah, just 1 second. Councillor Yankov,
Yes, your worship.
any comments? Council, just.
No, I think that I'll wait for the, once there's a resolution on the
Okay.
floor. I appreciate all the information provided tonight, and, I can just go from there.
Thank you. Councillor Duran?
Well, no questions, your worship. I'll wait for the vote. Thank you.
So, do you want to read the resolution, Mr. Kelly?
Yes, Your Worship, moved by Councillor Yankoff, second by Councillor McCabe, that upon reconsideration pursuant to section 3.15 of the zoning and development bylaw and section 126 of the Municipal Government Act, the following plan resolution dated April 26, 2021 be rescinded. That the request to amend Appendix G, zoning map of the zoning and development bylaw for Agnes Drive, Lot 40, PID number 419143, from a single detached residential large R1L zone to the mixed-use corridor MUC zone, and 413 St. Peters Road, PID 419135, from low-density residential R2 zone to the mixed-use corridor MUC zone. And to amend Appendix A, future land use map of the official plan for Agnes Drive, Lot 40, PID 419143, and 413 St. Peters Road, PID 419135, from mature neighborhood to village center commercial. And further, to consolidate Agnes Drive, Lot 40, PID 419143, and 413 St. Peters Road, PID 419135, and 419 St. Peters Road, PID 192187, in order to facilitate road upgrades by the province to St. Peters Road and construct a second means of access for the convenience store and to and from Ames Drive be rejected. So it's being asked to rescind that motion.
And that's the motion from, what date was that, sir, just again?
That motion was April 26, 2021. Your Worship.
Thank you. So the resolution's on the floor.
To rescind that motion. Your Worship.
To rescind. I want to go with Councillor Bird because he's been waiting. Do you want to speak to the resolution?
Yeah.
Could you stand up and speak loudly? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So, I guess I can speak to it now or speak to it when the next resolution is read. This one is rescinded, but I'll speak to it now. So, one thing that I didn't see in the report, and the one thing that I did ask about through our fire department, is around emergency services. So I know when the presentation was done, it was talked about, if the access is not on Dangus, the roundabout would not be constructed. We would have a 1 kilometer median put in between the two roundabouts. I believe that's what was suggested. So with that, I think it was mentioned in one of the emails, but I don't see it in the report, which is no fault of yours or the planning department at all. But it does present to me some questions around emergency services getting to streets in behind, where Angus Drive is and places like that. So I did ask someone from the fire department, how long they believe it would take that if this roundabout wasn't in play, how long would it take for a fire truck to go down an extra kilometer, to slow down around the roundabout, because keep in mind the apparatus, fire truck being heavy, top heavy, okay, would have the tendency to tip if going around a roundabout fast. They would have to then circle back, come back to the site. They believe it's anywhere between 2 to 4 minutes of extra time. I asked the question, 2 to 4 minutes, what impact would that have on the fire? And the answer was huge. It doubled in that period of time. Ambulance, police, things like, any emergency services. So minutes save lives. And to me, I think that's something that was never discussed and overlooked, but are we doing our due diligence? Are we doing the right things if we add time to their calls and all of a sudden someone is lost a life in a fire, lost a life because they had a heart attack and the ambulance had to take extra time to get to them? It doesn't make sense to me. They have that 1 kilometer that 1 kilometer median in between. So it wasn't discussed, but very concerned.
Thank you, Councilor Rivard. Councilor Judy McKay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you know what, Councillor, very good points for sure. I guess I think, again, that's a provincial issue that they should be thinking if they're going to place a 1 kilometer median along a provincial highway. And Riverside Drive has that, North River Causeway has that. I would hope that they wouldn't put people's lives at risk in order to accommodate their plan. Both of us, we had the second meeting reconsideration. We had the same amount of people out at our public meeting. We heard the same amount of people expressing why they weren't for it. We had people there that did actually speak for it. I still think there was a 7-4 against the proposal at our public meeting. It goes back to this being a provincial issue. And I agree with Councillor Tweel where we're looking at that rezoning in the community residential area. This is an island-based issue. It's traveling through that main corridor highway where we have people coming east and it's trying to keep traffic flow going. But, even on the petition, I noticed there was 38 signatures from people in Mount Stewart and I betcha they want roundabouts through the St. Peter's roadway because it will help with the flow of traffic, no question. But that's not what I'm here to represent. I'm here to represent the ward, my community residents in Ward 9, which is Angus Drive. At the public meeting, we heard one lady talk about how it's kind of pushing sideways. It's dividing the community here, which I know both Councillor nor I like to hear that. We're both really proud of East Royalty and the residents and the community we represent and how we're growing. It's wonderful. I feel for that because I believe that. I read a lot of the emails. A lot of the residents on my side, west side of East Royalty, are concerned with increased traffic throughout the community roads if this access road happens. And if you look on the other side, they're concerned with increased traffic if they don't have the roundabout to get out onto St. Peter's Road. So it's kind of like a game of who's going to win, what side, and that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that our residents have been put in this situation because the province not being clear from the onset about what their plan was, how it was going to happen. Where I felt bad for you. It wasn't your job to clarify whether or not they were going to put the roundabout in or they weren't going to put the roundabout in because you don't work for the province. And you know what? They had a very, very good opportunity that night to tell us the answers to that question. They were there and they didn't say anything. Not my problem. I'm glad to hear about the parking thing. I guess, someone said to me, if they can build a fixed link connecting PEI to New Brunswick, I sure as hope they can figure out a plan how to fix the St. Peter's Highway roundabout projects without impacting the community residents of East Royalty. For this reason, I will not be supporting the amendment to the original resolution. Thank you.
Did you want to respond?
We're rescinding, aren't we?
That's
Rescinding, yeah.
Rescinding the vote of April.
Or 5-4.
April 26th, Your Worship.
Thank you, Richard.
Councillor Bird, did you?
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Councillor McKay. I mean, again, I do realize this is a provincial road, but again, the services that we're providing to the public is missable. So, if the province is saying this is what they're going to do, they're going to put the meeting, then that's very concerning. It should be very concerning to everyone in this room. It should be concerning to the residents of the area. Because I certainly wouldn't want to have to wait an extra 3 minutes, whatever the number may be, to have a fire truck or an ambulance arrive at my house in the event that there is emergency. I want someone there as quickly as possible. If the province is suggesting putting the median through, and that's their plan, then we're making a decision based on that, saying that if we don't allow for this excess, that this median is going through, I think we're doing a disservice to our public in general around emergency services. Because again, if there's a fire or someone needed an ambulance, police officer, who knows? Anyway, I digress.
I'm just going to have an answer to that because I just have to, because I think of my residents in Woodley Drive and they're still gonna have that same access, they still have to kind of walk to the McRae roundabout. The Angus Drive roundabout, they're not gonna be able to get entry point into Woodley Drive, the next subdivision over beside Mel's. So that argument around the median and stuff, maybe the province needs to look at whether or not they should put a median down the highway.
Councillor Bernard and then Councillor Twill. Did you want to say, Councillor McLeod? Did you have your hand up?
I'm good, thank you.
Councillor Ramsey, you didn't have your hand up?
No, sir?
First of all, Your Worship, I do want to look at, Riverside Drive we talked about. Not the same at all. Riverside Drive is not in a residential area. So there's not the kids and the adults and so on trying to get across streets. I recall at the meeting, the first meeting we had, although it wasn't stressed, the province did say that it was a safety issue. Dan McCarthy did say that it was the province that were asking him to put this zoning change through, not him. It wasn't stressed, for sure. It wasn't stressed, and I think that's why we never took it seriously when we voted it. It was when the province came back to explain it was why it was a safety issue, and then we understood it. It was, you were right, it never explained that the 40 meters coming in and out was too close for the crosswalk. So it was just, but it was brought up as there was a safety issue there. So when we compare it to Riverside Drive, there's no comparison to Riverside Drive. You get residents on both sides of the road. You get residents, and you come out and you want to go left, you can't. Everybody's got to go right. But anyway, we'll talk about that in the next resolution. I think for now, we're asking to rescind the previous resolution. So, I would be in favor, obviously, of rescinding the resolution.
Councillor Twill.
Thank you. As we go through this entire exercise, a number of months, if you go back from a historical perspective, a number of years, the request has always been to change the zoning, and the residents have been very consistent, and very adamant, crystal clear. They're not in favor of changing the zoning to allow for an entrance and exit on Angus Drive. And why would they? Why would the residents in Angus Drive want to have highway commercial traffic on a neighborhood street? We talk about safety. What about the safety of the residents that live on Angus Drive and that entire community? Nobody seems to talk about their safety. Nobody seems to talk about their quality of life. Mr. Hooley, you were here when we talked about the reconsideration, the vote that night. Residents have made it quite clear that they're extremely concerned about their property values. It's going to impact the residents that live in Angus Drive. We've got residents that live in that neighborhood street, lifelong residents, 47 years, made tremendous investments into their homes. All you got to do is go up and down that street. I have a number of times. Every one of those homes are incredible homes. People take great pride in putting back money, their lifelong earnings back into their homes and their beautiful homes. You can see the investments just flourish. So all of a sudden, overnight, we're going to change the zoning to allow for highway commercial on a neighborhood street. Somebody please tell me in this chamber, from the principles of planning, good planning, is that good planning? I don't know anyone that argued that it would. And with all due respect to my good friend Councillor Rivera, respect to the protective services, I had the same questions. I did talk to personnel in the fire department today. The fire department's not been engaged. That's the conversation I had this morning. Fire department's not been engaged, and I think Councillor McCabe is correct. It's a provincial issue, and if we as a city providing those municipal services indicated to the province, you know what, you can't have your island going right across the entrance and exit onto Angus Drive coming off St. Peter's Road. I think we would have a say in that. But nonetheless, we're dealing with residents again. There's residents that live on that street that were there before there was a road there. That's how far back it goes. And I really believe that we're doing a tremendous disservice to these residents that time and time again, have said no to the change of zoning, have said no to the diminishing and the decrease of their quality of life and increase in traffic onto their street. So
Thank you, Councilor.
I will be
Voting against it.
I'll be voting against. Yeah, voting against.
Thank you, Councilor Twill.
Against the rescinding of the resolution.
Okay. Question?
Question called.
Questions called, so I have it's again to rescind the resolution from April 12th.
April 26th, Your Worship.
April 26th, correct? All those in favor of rescinding, please raise your hand. Councilor Yankoff? Yea or nay?
I am in favor of rescinding the resolution from April.
Okay, so those in favor of rescinding. Now, just one second. No, just one second. Councilor, those in favor of rescinding, so we can get it on the public record, correct, Tracy? Councilors Bernard, Councilors Duffy, Councilor Ramsey, Councilor McLeod, Councilor Rivard, and Councilor Yankoff. Those are in favor of rescinding. Those against, please raise your hand. Councilor Duran, yea or nay?
Not in favor.
So those against, Councilors Twill, McCabe, and Duran. Correct? Yeah. Okay.
To Your Worship, with that being said, moved by Councillor Yankoff, second by Councillor McCabe, that upon reconsideration pursuant to section 315 of the zoning development bylaw and sections 126 of the Municipal Government Act, the request to amend Appendix G zoning map of the zoning development bylaw for Agnes Drive, Lot 40, PID 419143, from single detached residential large R1L zone to parking P zone, and 413 St. Peter's Road, PID 419135, from low density residential R2 zone to parking P zone, and to amend Appendix A, future land use map of the official plan for Agnes Drive, Lot 40, PID 419143, and 413 St. Peter's Road, PID 419135, from mature neighborhood to village center commercial, and further to consolidate Agnes Drive, Lot 40, PID 419143, 413 St. Peter's Road, PID 419135, and 419 St. Peter's Road, PID 192187 into one parcel, in order to facilitate road upgrades for the province to St. Peter's Road and to construct a second means of access for the convenience store to and from Agnes Drive be approved.
Councilor Bernard, you raised your hand. Did you want to speak to it?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
And it's good that Councilor McCabe and I get along well, because I hate to see this become a division of East Royal. Whereas East Royal is a beautiful, excellent community to live in. A lot of amenities, and we got more coming with this project, with Providence Stone, the multi-purpose pathway, connecting right to downtown Charlottetown to the West Rowley. So, Worship, having said that, I think at the end of the day, we'll end up, it'll make the community stronger. But just a few things. When Council first reviewed the Mills application, it was about rezoning properties to MUC, or as commercial, was the fear that commercial buildings would be built on these lots. Residents near the area were concerned with the possibility of more commercial entities encroaching closer to their properties with an access road on Angus Drive. When Council voted against that proposal, no one at the time knew there would be no roundabout constructed at this location. When the province met with City Council, it was explained why the access road was needed for them to move ahead with the roundabout. And at that time, we asked if the access road could be moved down closer to the roundabout, further away from that residential property. At that time, they said that it could be accommodated, and that would move it 15 to 25 feet closer towards the roundabout at St. Peter's Road and away from the personal property. By doing that, and also would angle towards the roundabout. So the access road now is down as far as it can on that lot, and as it comes out, it angles onto the very top of the roundabout. So it moves down further, which in turn gives more room to the province to build a berm and a privacy fence, which they'll pay for the adjoining property that the road is going through. I also understand from the reconsideration meeting, Your Worship, that the applicant for the rezoning, we heard here again tonight, has agreed to rezone the property to parking. and not MUC. So that will eliminate the concerns some residents had for the commercial development creeping into a residential area. The other concern we heard was property values. And I'll ask council to turn to page 94 of your package. Your worship, page 94 is a response, and I'll read it. Hello, I have previously submitted my opinion on this matter, but after reading public letters and listening to the meeting that was held last night, being June 22nd, I felt the need to add a few more comments for the record. There were some concerns raised about the property value of some homes nearby the proposed access road, and it was even stated at one point that it would cut the value in half. As someone in the industry that is very familiar with the housing market and the sale prices of homes, state with that is simply just not true. So, Your Worship, and I don't know where, you know, when you look at property values, I think I would be more concerned. I think people look for convenience and safety. And I think without the roundabout, you do not have the ability to turn left. You have to go in the opposite direction for a ways before you have to turn around and come back to the direction you want to go. Or without the roundabout, there's no safe access for children or adults to cross the 4-lane highway. I think that would probably be more detrimental to the property values, but that's just my opinion. So, Your Worship, can you imagine without the construction of this roundabout, people living on Angus Drive, Coker Street, Kroger Street, Short Street, Parkman Drive, Bambrick Drive, Woodley Drive, Terra Heights, Miller Street, and Pearson Street. All of these residents that live on these streets who want to exit onto St. Peter's Road will have to exit right, drive up to an extra 2 kilometers to get to head in the direction they want to go. So they will, no question, add tons of greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere, which we know causes global warming and climate change, which is what every level of government in the world is working to reduce or eliminate. So as a member of the city's Environmental and Sustainability Committee that actually Councillor Tweel chairs, this would be enough of a reason to vote in favor of the rezoning to parking to advance the roundabout construction. But Your Worship, I can give more reasons why it should go ahead. Without a roundabout at this location, we would be putting many children and adults in a very unsafe situation. Simply put, no roundabout at this location will mean no pedestrian crosswalk or safe means to cross the 4-lane highway to get to the active transportation pathway. No roundabout at this location will mean no safe access to cross 4 lanes of highway for kids or adults who wish to go to Mel's store. And kids will go across to get the pop or bag of chips or whatever the kids do. I raised 3 kids in this area, and that was our greatest fear when it was a 2-lane highway, was the kids going to the store and back and forth to the store. When they get on their bikes, and they're that age, 12, 13, yeah, they will cross. So this is a 4-lane highway with talk about being a boulevard, 1.2 kilometers, which we'll call it the Great Wall of China. It's a median all the way up. So I know the risk that people are concerned about. The city, and you know this, Your Worship, the city is currently involved in creating a 4-acre park where the East Rowley Lagoon was decommissioned. Among other things, there are plans to construct a pump track for kids to use on their bikes. Now, will kids want to cross the 4-lane highway to get down to that park to use the pump track? You betcha. As we move to complete the old landfill site to Parkland, there are plans, among other things, for a toboggan hill in those plans. Do we not think kids will try and cross 4 lanes of traffic to get there? In North River, approximately 3 years ago, there was an adult killed crossing 4 lanes of traffic to get from the motel over to the store, the Petro-Canada store. He was killed. You may recall that 3 years ago. So, you know, we don't want to repeat history.
Just over your time there, can you summarize it?
I've got a paragraph left.
Okay. Can we give them that time there, Mr. Kelly?
I don't take much of council's time, so I would ask for a little leniency.
Granted.
The roundabout at this location will make the community of East Rowley accessible, safer, and maintained inclusive. By constructing a cement barrier down the middle of St. Peter's Road for 1.2 kilometers, will divide the community in half and make it unsafe. A roundabout at this location, on the other hand, will result in first and foremost safety for everyone, convenience for everyone, and reduce the potential for a huge increase in greenhouse gas emissions that contribute to climate change. Your Worship, I also want to make notice that 7.5 pages of people who signed a petition is in your package to further demonstrate the public desire to have this land rezoned to parking so the roundabout can be constructed at this location and East Rolling can continue to grow with the proper infrastructure for safety, inclusion, and not dividing the community. So in conclusion, Your Worship, application that was submitted to rezone land to MUC commercial for access road, which was a concern to the residents, will now be zoned parking. That to me is a significant change. Access road to be moved away from the nearest residential property, down another 15 to 25 feet. So the province will be building a berm and a privacy fence. Without the roundabout at this location, there will be an increase in greenhouse gas emissions, no question. Without the roundabout, this location will not be safe for residents young and old to cross 4 lanes of traffic safely at this location, which is the most important location for any of these roundabouts. And because the provincial engineers recommended a roundabout at this location for obvious reasons, and with the changes that have been made to date, and based on the information we're now aware of, I'll be voting yes to rezone the property to parking so the roundabout can continue and function safely.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Is that one paragraph or 3?
Pardon me?
Is that one paragraph or 3 paragraphs?
I take my time reading. Thank you. Thank you for the lead.
Councilor Bernard, on the petition, how many names were, is this?
230.
230, okay. Councilor Tweed.
Well, you know, that's all well and good, Councilor Bernard. All the points that you raised. But,
Thank you.
But people on the west side of St. Peter's Road don't agree with you. They don't agree with you one iota. I've talked to a lot of those people. There was a petition, a legitimate petition, of 100 names. I don't know why it's not in the package. People went door to door on the west side of St. Peter's Road. Over 100 names. These are lifelong residents. They're paying taxes.
Before the new information was presented.
Well, you know what? To be honest with you,
Just unfinished.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. You know what? A lot of the people that live, that's going to be affected by the zoning change, going to be affected by highway commercial on a residential street, going to be affected by the diminishing of property values. They simply don't agree with you. They don't agree with you at all. And I'll challenge anyone here in this council, anyone, whether it's CAO, whether it's our planning officer, solicitor, go out and knock on doors, walk down Angus Drive, and ask those people. Do you know how upset those people were at that council meeting the other night? We had people that were ready to break down and cry, couldn't really convey what they really wanted to say because they're so emotional that their neighborhood is going to dramatically be affected by a decision that City Council is going to make where when they first constructed their homes, purchased their homes, invested in their homes, here was the rules of the game. But now we're going to change the rules of the game. We're going to change the rules of the game. So it's great to be able to say, well, we got a petition, but 100 names in a petition, I don't know why that's not in the package. It was presented here to council a couple of meetings ago. So to venture down this road and to say, well, we have to do this because the province, the week before, said if you don't have the entrance and exit onto Angus Drive, then we can't construct the roundabout. Mr. Yo said at the meeting last week, it's quite clear, there's no other option. Ladies and gentlemen, there are no other options. $20 million project. We can't have the effectiveness of the $20 million plus project unless there's an exit and entrance onto Angus Drive. You know what? I'm not an engineer, but I'll go on the public record and say I disagree with them. Maybe we can bring in other engineers in this city that come in and say, yes, we can do infrastructure improvements on St. Peter's Road and spend $20 million plus without an entrance and exit on the Angus Drive. Why do the residents, question before us tonight is, why do the residents in Angus Drive have to pay the price? Have to pay the price to have their neighborhood and Short Street and all those other streets that are joining to Angus Drive, why do they have to pay the price of a $20 million project where the engineer stated unequivocally there's no other options? No other options. It's just hurt a family. And the residents on the west side of St. Peter's Road are very emotionally upset, they're very discouraged, and they're heartbroken. And that message was loud and clear in the Victorian Room at the Charlottetown Hotel. That's what I saw that night.
Councilor McCabe, did you want to respond? Can she speak first?
I'm just going to say, I feel like I have mentioned it in the corner because I don't want to repeat everything that he said. But it's definitely, he's definitely expressed the opinions of my residents very clearly. So I just wanted to say I'm not going to repeat everything, but thank you.
Councilor Bernard.
Thank you. Your Worship, as you will know, I used to represent that side of the road.
Yes, you did.
And so I still know a lot of people on that side of the road, and there's a lot of people that do want this roundabout, no question. And I guess at the end of the day, if you had to make a decision, safety is number one. And without this roundabout, it's not safe. So I don't know why you would vote to put kids' lives at risk, let alone adults. And I don't know, safety is paramount. And like I said earlier, I raised 3 kids, and I know what it's like to have the fear of them just going to Mel's store, let alone cross the street. East Road is growing at an unprecedented pace, there's no question. The problems we've been after them for 10 years. I believe this study came out in 2013, where the problems at that point let us know that when they go to make improvements here, that the road will be 4 lanes, and there will be 3 roundabouts they were looking at, 3 controlled intersections at the time, is what they said. We know roundabouts are a lot safer than a lighted intersection. We know that now. You and I went through this battle with Alan and Matt Edward. You didn't want the roundabout there.
Yeah.
It was going to be but you know what? As it turned out, it works out very well. So at the end of the day, when you look at the community of East Road, you have to say what's the best for East Road. Now, the roundabout is at Angus Drive and Hammack. I don't think it's I know a lot of people don't like change, but the 4-lane highway is coming whether we like it or not. There's 20,000 to 30,000 vehicles a day on that stretch of highway. And that stretch of highway, as everybody knows, takes you right to Surrey. So for me, I got to look at both sides, listen to all the information, and make what I think is the right decision for the future of East Royalty, especially the safety of East Royalty, the safety for those residents. And I'm convinced, without a doubt, that the roundabout is needed for the safety of the residents of East Royalty.
Councilor Yankoff or Councilor Duran, did you want to add in anything to it?
Yes. I do, sure, but if Councilor Duran wanted to go first, that's fine.
Councilor Duran?
Thank you, Your Worship. I know there's concerns about safety. I just don't like the City Council being put in the predicament that it's either this or that. We didn't come up with the mile-long median. I think there's other options. I'm also concerned about safety, but I think there's other options here that we don't have to go into Angus Drive, and I just think there's other options. So I can't support this, and thanks for giving me the chance to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Duran. Councilor Yankoff?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just have 3 points and probably questions to be answered. The first one was, in the second section of the resolution, where we refer to Appendix A of the future land use map of the official plan, and we are rezoning from mature neighborhood to village center commercial. I thought we were going in the direction of parking, and I see above it we are. I just wanted a little clarification on what that actually means to the community. And my second note was, I just needed a reminder. The beginning we talked, I think it was 7 letters of opposition and 40 plus in favor, but I think I might not have heard that right because it's scratchy on the screen, so somebody could confirm that. And my third thing was that I did have a lengthy conversation with the manager of Public Works. One of the concerns that was brought up at the public meeting was identifying that a lot of these streets that come off of Angus, at this stage, they don't have enough transportation lane, they don't have sidewalks, they don't really have any services. And he assured me that that would be made a priority to address those concerns if this resolution is passed. So there's just two questions from me. If somebody could answer those. Thank you, Your Worship.
Laurel's here, and Laurel, just before you answer, Laurel did mention to me that after last week's meeting, I know that a lot of harsh words were said about some of our staff. I think we all heard them. And I want to apologize on behalf of my office, and I'm sure office of councillors, that, you know, we take the heat, but when staff have to take it and then go home and, you know, reflect on it, I apologize. I can't apologize for those that made the statement, but Laurel, I know how hard you work at planning development, and to go to public consultations to get that. I try to, as Councillor Duffy knows, we try to control it as much as we can, but we do the best we can, so I apologize for it.
Thank you, Your Worship. Apology accepted. It wasn't really your fault, but it was just that staff weren't able to
Defend themselves.
clarify or defend themselves
Yeah.
to the public.
Yeah.
So.
And it puts us all in a difficult position if we try to debate with residents on these issues, because it takes another path that we just don't want to explore at this time. So can you answer the first question?
Yeah, the reason why it's going from parking to Village Center Commercial, Village Center Commercial is the official plan designation. So parking is actually a commercial designation. It's a commercial land use, so there isn't an official plan designation for parking. It's included under a commercial use, but in the zoning and development bylaw, when a property is zoned for parking, it is only limited to parking uses. But parking is still a commercial use, so that's why the official plan designation is commercial.
Okay. Second question, did you remember the second question, Laurel, or do you want to repeat?
No, I don't remember.
Can you repeat the second question, Councillor?
Letters for and against.
Yeah, oh, the
Sure.
letter. Yeah,
Thank you, and thank you, Laurel, for answering that first question. My question was, at the beginning when you did the presentation, you had spoken, and I just can't seem to find it in all of my papers here. You had indicated that there were, I believe, 7 letters of opposition, and I thought you said 40-something in favor, but the audio was crackly, so I didn't hear the number.
Okay, so what I have in the planning report, when I did the report and I did a count that night, I counted 32 letters received, 25 letters were in support, and 7 letters were in opposition to the proposed reconsideration. In total, we sent out 48 letters to property owners located within 100 meters.
Do you have that, Councillor Yankoff?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, and thank you for answering those questions.
Thank you, Laurel. Palmer Thompson, from the Great Community Board. Councillor Tweel.
Councillor Bernard, the roundabout you talked about, Mount Everett Road and Allen Street, I can tell you that residents were in favor of that.
What about now?
What's that?
What about
A
now?
lot of them still have difficulties trying to enter and exit off of Mount Everett Road, because the traffic comes right off the roundabout and gunners up Mount Everett Road. So just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
Now, I think Councillor Bobby...
You're probably still against the fixed link too, are you?
Pardon me?
You're probably still against the fixed link.
Yeah, guys.
I just point of order.
Just point of order.
I want to call.
No, point of order. Hold on, point of
I
order.
would appreciate it if we would keep the voices down and also stick to the topic.
Okay.
Thank you.
So let's stick to the topic.
Thank you.
What, so it's about the roundabout on Angus Drive?
I want an apology from you.
Well, you'll have to ask that forever. Right now, we're not going to, just deal with the point. Come on.
So the point is, I think Councillor Bobby Brown had it right.
Yes.
There's other options here, right? So why don't we as a city do our due diligence, go out and solicit a couple of engineers to ask them what
It's not our road.
What?
It's not our road.
That's right, it's not our road. There, thank you for answering my question. It's 2 separate issues. Zoning on Angus versus what the province is doing on St. Peter's Road.
I think,
Right? So it's two separate issues. That's how the residents feel on Angus Drive, and Laurel talked about letters that went out to residents within 100 meters. 48 letters went out.
Yes, I believe it
Right?
was 48.
48, and I would probably suggest that the majority of those people, if you go back to the petition that was signed by the residents living in the affected area, 100 people, over 100 people said, no, unfortunately, it's not in our package. So we don't get to do a comparative analysis as to, who signed the petition and who's directly affected by this change in zoning.
It's duly noted by your comments, Councillor Twin, but again, if I go back to the resolution, in order to facilitate road upgrades, that's part, correct me if I'm wrong, Noel, I know you're not an engineer, but as a planner, in order to facilitate road upgrades can be a roundabout, could be an overpass, underpass, we just didn't specify, correct? Just for
Yes,
clarification.
It's basically the province is doing road construction, so they're changing it from what it currently is to a 4-lane highway with roundabouts. I mean, I guess what I should clarify is they have indicated that, and I explained earlier, the reason for the access is because of safety. So they just don't want people entering and exiting from Mel's, the current access, and trying to switch lanes.
Councillor Bernard, can we just sum up?
Yeah, I'm just talking, Worship. Just want to clarify. Laurel had said, I think 48 letters went out.
Yeah.
And there were 7 letters in opposition.
Yes.
Okay. So.
That's what we received for the reconsideration.
Yeah. So it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of people against it. But anyway, the other point I want to make, Your Worship, is the province made it clear there is no other options. It's either get the access, go around it, no access, boulevard for 1.2 kilometers. It's their road, it's their project. They want to make it as safe as they can. I can't sit here and say that they're making up stories. I think that, obviously these are professional engineers. I'm not an engineer. They say that's all they can do. They gave the reasons why. So to me, there is no other options. So we're left with, right now in my mind, it's a safety issue. So do you want to have the safest that you can, or do you not? So anyway, that would be it for me for tonight, Your Worship. Thank you.
Final point, Councillor Twin. Final point, and stay on topic. Thank you.
I'll reiterate one. I did.
I said thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So I'll reiterate one more time, right? Stephen Yo says no other options. Councillor Duran had a good idea. Maybe council, whether it's a provincial road or not, should engage with the province and ask for a second or a third opinion, and present those second and third opinions, have another public meeting, and go back to the residents, to the people that are being directly affected by this proposed change. I think we owe them that much. After some of them living there for 50 years, we can't go get a second or third opinion, and it's going to affect their property values, highway traffic on Angus Drive, and change their whole quality of life. Don't you think we owe them that much?
I think that was already done.
Question?
Questions called.
Questions called. Okay, for the resolution that's in front of you to facilitate road upgrades by the province at St. Peter's Road and construct a second means of access for the convenience store to and from Angus Drive be approved. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, so that's Councillor Bernard, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Ramsey, Councillor McLeod, Councillor Rivera. Councillor Yankoff, yea or nay?
I'm in favor.
That's Councillor Yankoff. All those against, Councillor Duran, yea or nay?
No, I'm not in favor of this. I'm with the people of Angus Drive.
So Councillor Duran is against. All those against in the chamber, please raise your hand. Against, Councillor Tweel and Councillor McKay. 6-3. Motion carried.
Your Worship.
You have another resolution?
Yes, Your Worship. The official plan at PHOPA.1. to adopt the official plan amendment, PHOPA.1-021. The land uses for Agnes Drive, Lot 40, PID 419143 and 413 St. Peter's Road, PID 419135, as shown on Appendix A. Future land use map of the City of Charlottetown official plan is designated as a village center commercial, hereby excluding it from its former designation of mature neighborhood. Moved by Councilor Yankoff, second by Councilor McCabe. Be resolved that the official plan amendment, PHOPA.1-021, as pertains to Agnes Drive Lot 40, PID 419143 and 413 St. Peter's Road, PID 4199135, as attached, be adopted, Your Worship.
We're falling apart here. Shall it carry? Carry. Okay, just one second. Shall it carry again? Councilor Bernard? Yay.
Yay.
Councilor McCabe? No. Councilor Duffy?
Yes.
Yay. Councilor Rivard?
Yep.
Councilor Twill? No. No. Councilor McLeod?
Yes.
Councilor Yankoff?
Yes.
Councilor Drawn?
No.
6-3. Okay, do you want to read again there, sir?
Your Worship, be resolved that the bylaw to amend the City of Charlottetown bylaw zoning and development bylaw PH-Z2.2044 as it pertains to Agnes Drive, Lot 40, PID 419143 and 413 St. Peter's Road, PID 419135, as attached, be read a first time and be approved, and then it be read a second time at the next public meeting of council, Your Worship.
Shall it carry?
Yes.
Councilor Bernard?
Yes?
Yay. Councilor McCabe? No. Councilor Duffy?
Yes.
Yay. Councilor Ramsey?
Yes.
Councilor Bernard?
Yes.
Councilor Twill? No. No. Councilor McLeod? Councilor Duran?
No.
Councilor Yankoff?
Yes.
Okay, 6-3.
Your Worship, moved by Councilor Yankoff, second by Councilor McCabe, that pursuant to the requirements of Section 20 of the Planning Act, RSPEI 1988, Cap P-8, and the requirements of Section 2.1 of the Zoning Development Bylaw, PH-ZD.2, Council hereby appoints Evan Brown as a designated development officer to administer provisions of the Zoning Development Bylaw, and that any other bylaws under the Planning Heritage Department regarding licensing, inspection, applications, and that this designation of authority shall cease if the job duties of this employee no longer require the designation, if the employee terminates employment with the City of Charlottetown or upon a further written notice.
Okay, all those in favor of the resolution to...
I ask a question.
Just one second. Council hereby appoints Evan Brown as a designated development officer. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just on the reconsideration.
Oh, no.
No,
But no, we're on this resolution.
No, I'm sorry, I just want to ask a question about procedure. Just one question.
We have to vote on this first.
Can I ask a question after that? Just a simple
Does
question.
it apply here? The council, legal council? The vote's taken, and we've already done.
It's just
I know.
a question process.
Anyways, let's vote on this first. All those in favor of the resolution, please raise your hand. Yes. Councilor Yankoff.
In favor.
Councilor McCabe. Sorry, Councilor Duran.
Get you on the brain.
I got you on the brain. Councilor Duran.
In favor?
Same Mayor.
Councilor. Cody, absent. Councilor Twill, yes.
Yeah. Just a question on the procedures when it comes to reconsideration. The applicant for the reconsideration, Mr. Dan Kaiser, had the opportunity to file for reconsideration. Now that this went against the taxpayers in Agnes Drive, do they have an opportunity to file for reconsideration as well?
No, they can appeal it.
No, hold on.
No, hold on. I asked him that question earlier, and he said it can be appealed. So we'll verify. Can they appeal it?
They can appeal to IRAC. The reconsideration process is done.
But they can't, they don't have the same
Can't
opportunity.
reconsider reconsideration.
Okay, so they don't have the same opportunities, can
No, because they weren't the applicant,
I'm asking a question.
so they can appeal to IRAC, correct?
Correct. Their recourse is to, if they're not happy, they can appeal to IRAC.
Motion to adjourn?
Nope.
Closed session.
Oh, yes, you're doing that tonight?
Yes.
What
we
about
have to.
like Counselor
Well,
Yankoff?
we need to cancel Yankoff's candidate day question.
Yeah, we have, if that's in closed session, that's open, is it not? Yes.
This, huh?
Okay, hold on, take that out. Let's just check those. I don't think I put that. It's absent, I better put that. I can just do that.
Let you keep. Is that all the bylaws?
Okay, I still have that in here. Cody. Absent. Thank you, Laurel Lee. Thank you.
Well, she has to stay for the next one, didn't she?
Laurel Palmer Thompson.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Drive careful, Laura. Turn the heat down.
Little point.
Turn the heat up. And the air down.
Or the air down. Harry?
Yeah.
We're just going to discuss a minute video before we go to close to take a break?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
We're still open now, yeah?
No, we're in the open session. She's just going to mute it. You're all right. We can mute it.
5.
So, we added Councillor Yankov's issue about just an update on the Canada Day celebration. But before we do that, Simmons Sports Complex, it's all about, next week is the meeting.
Open house.
It's an open house, July 6th, right,
People
at
can
Simmons.
go look at the drawings, I believe.
Yeah.
Councillor Bernard's not here, but people go look at the
Okay.
drawings and have their input and all that.
Okay,
That's what I understood.
Councillor Yankov, we're going to your agenda item,
Okay, thank you.
4G. Do you want to just ask your question or bring up your point of interest?
Certainly, Your Worship. I was just looking for an update. I know that some municipalities are modifying, canceling, talking about, having conversations around Canada Day, and just given the with the Indigenous updates with the additional unmarked grave found, and I'm just wondering what our plan is for Canada Day, and how we're proceeding to ensure that all of the needs are met. That's kind of what I'm just curious about an update. Thank you.
Councillor McCabe, can you please
Yeah, I
provide
can.
an update?
So we haven't really met as a committee or anything to discuss this, but in talking with staff, what I can update you on, Councillor Yankov, is that really there's been no discussion of cancelling Canada Day celebrations locally by the city. Staff have worked hard and sought input from various organizations in an effort to diversify the programming. Both Chief Gould and Julie Pelletier will be participating in the virtual show that we as a city have partnered with the Federal Department of Heritage, alongside Ottawa, Trois-Rivières, Winnipeg, Banff, and Whitehorse. So we're going to be part of a national broadcast show. And I guess, when we've just talked a little bit is that there has been public statements from the Indigenous leaders in PEI, and they have not asked us to proceed with any kind of cancellation in our festivity. We did hear from Chief Junior Gould that he's asked people in the island to maybe wear orange as a sign of respect. I guess we want to get the message out that we do hear them, we respect and appreciate their perspectives, and see this as an opportunity for reflection. And there has been some modifying of the festivity to acknowledge the tragedy and celebrate Indigenous resiliency.
So could I just add, Councillor McCabe?
Yes.
Today we did call on Chief Junior Gould of the Scotchford First Nations, and on Canada Day we will be raising our Canada flag and the Mi'kmaq First Nations flag at the Charlottetown event grounds. And I did extend an invite to the chief, and he replied that he would be honored to attend. I would like to share this flag raising with some community members from Abergwit, if that works. A small group to take part and sing an honor song.
Yep.
So that would be, and I know in Cornwall they've invited Julie Pelletier-Lush to do a cleansing.
Wonderful. And I think people have to choose whether or not they decide, make a decision whether or not they want to participate in the activities that are going to be offered. But again, we can be respectful in how we proceed with that.
And that invite is open to councillors for Thursday morning at 9:45 a.m. at the Charlottetown event grounds. Is that all right, Councillor
Can I just do
Yankoff?
a follow-up, Your Worship?
What's that?
She wants to do a follow-up, yeah.
Go
Can I
ahead.
just have a follow-up?
Yep, go ahead.
Thank you, Councillor McCabe, for the information. You spoke of modification and making some changes to reflect the Indigenous community. What are those? And if you don't know all of them, would we be able to put out a public statement with our communications department so that the public knows what the city's doing in terms of a different style of Canada Day this year?
I think there's certainly something that we can ask our communications officer and staff to do.
And also the events and festivals group, Laura Lee and...
That's it, yes.
Okay. Councillor Bernard.
I just wanted to say, Your Worship, I did hear Chief Junior Gould on the radio the other day, and I thought his suggestion was very good, is that we celebrate Canada Day, but if we wear the orange jerseys to recognize Indigenous people, that we would do that. And to me, that makes a lot of sense. We celebrate the greatest country in the world, and we still celebrate the Indigenous people and their culture.
Very good point.
Thank you.
Okay, is that all right, Councilor McCabe? You'll follow up on that, no problem? Okay. Good. So, are you, or do you, have the appetite to go into a closed meeting to discuss?
We do have.
We do have some, I think we're under the pressure, we're under a bit of pressure to do this, are we not?
For what?
To look at our committee structure,
If
especially.
we can keep it to 15 minutes or so, then I'm good.
Well, can we present an overview? Quick overview?
I have to leave by 7:30.
Okay. So.
Yeah, I think I would suggest that. I don't think, everybody's been talking about this.
No.
And nobody has any real idea.
We just want to present what we're into. Can we do that first?
Yeah. I can do it first.
So we're going to move into a closed session as per section 119, subsection 1D, Municipal Government Act of Prince Edward Island. Who's it moved by? Councillor Rivera, second by Councillor McLeod. All those in favor? Okay. You got it?